a lot of the time, houndsmen, dogs are trained by dogs to some extent. If you had no older dogs to teach it, how would you start a dry ground lion dog?
Well, I've done it, and actually it's not as hard as you think, because a lot of times dogs learn bad traits from other dogs too.
Mm-hmm.
If the dog is bred right and started right, I start, and I've got a little program. Some people say it's a simple little program that I use. You can actually go on Big Game Hounds Forum on the home page, and go up on the top, and there'll be one icon up there. It's called Cat Dog Training. Well, that's an article that I've had in there for years now, and I've helped a lot of people get dogs started that didn't have old dogs, using scent, training scent, bland scent, and setting up situations and stuff to start to stimulate what those dogs actually have within them. You begin to bring it out. It doesn't train them to be a lion dog or a bobcat dog, but it starts to bring those hunting instincts out quicker, and you could begin to modify it. And then I've got an advanced program that I didn't share publicly because I didn't have permission to share it publicly by the gentleman that wrote it up, and it's much more advanced, but I've had people take dogs through that program and go all the way with it, and go out and catch dry ground lion with their dogs without help from anybody else.
Really, with no older dog.
Yes.
And so you've done the scent stuff, and I used that, by the way, when I was getting into it, and it was really useful. And then your dogs start, strikes, and I've always been very careful because I haven't been able to get my young dogs on a ton of game in their first year or two, because I was learning myself. I was very careful on what I broke them off of, and I tried not to break them too hard off stuff.
That's very astute of you to not do that. A lot of people ruin a lot of good dogs by over breaking them, just like a child. Don't touch that. Don't do this. Don't do that. They don't learn. They don't learn, and they learn. They learn through repetition, of course they do, but they learn when they get rewarded too.
Yeah.
And a lot of really great dogs have been ruined. I've done some pretty harsh measures. I had a dog called Max, and he was really a well-bred dog, and he would trail anything. I mean, he would trail anything. He'd trail cows. He would trail horses. He would trail coyotes. And I just got sick of looking for him all the time. And we were right on this ranch. And I fried him a few times, and he was very sensitive. It took a long time for that dog to ever come out of that.
Had he seen a lot of on game at that point?
He'd been on some.
So
Yeah. He knew what the good stuff was, but he just liked to trail anything.
Yeah.
And I just needed to stick with him. And admittedly, he never became as great a dog as he should have. In fact, he became more of a cow dog. But we had pups out of him that were pretty good. Yeah.
So you've got your dog, you've put it through the scent training program, and then it strikes a track, and you're on bare ground, and you're a noob like me, and it's very difficult to see a track. And how are you? Is the key to just go let that dog trail and find a track?
Right. Absolutely. You've got to find a track, because on dry ground, a dog is just as likely to be trailing backwards as frontwards. And some dogs have an uncanny ability to turn a track around, but it's usually a fresher track. But if it's fairly old, I've seen the best of the best, just how they hit a track and they'll be trailing backwards on it. And sometimes it seems like they can trail better backwards. And sometimes I've had old hunters tell me, well, this lion might have been on a kill, and it had a lot of scent on its feet, and the further it went, the more that wore off and stuff. Maybe so, who knows? But you can catch them, turn them around, and start working the other way.
Did they learn that eventually that, I've run this, I've run many tracks, and they got colder and colder, and they eventually turn around and run them back, or?
Not really. Some dogs do. Some dogs are just that brilliant. And some dogs are more gifted and better at turning them around. Gunner, that dog I told you, I'm going to give you a copy of that, Gunner's last lion. But I've seen whole packs of really great lion dogs be just carrying a track. And it's really a thrilling thing to see a big pack really cold trailing. It's kind of stressful, but I've had as many as 15 dogs. And they just move like a moving object. And they begin to leapfrog it on a cold track, and they're just moving as a pack, and move, and they kind of squirt forward like water this way, and then this way, and this way. And I've seen all of a sudden see Gunner just throw his head up, turn around, and he'd be bouncing like he was in the wind, and be going back the other way. And I'm like, what's going on? And the guy I bought him from, he was a trained dog when I bought him. He said, he's got the track. He turned it around. So he start hollering the dogs in and carry it on, and we go catch the lion.
Mm-hmm.
So he had something. Not every dog has that, but he had something. And I was hunting with a gentleman in southern Arizona right up against the Mexican border. He had a pack of really great lion dogs. I mean, really good, tough dogs. He spent a lot of money on these dogs. And we started track by an old water hole. And the dogs, all these dogs were pretty big, houndy, long-eared, red-tick, blue-tick dogs. And I only had one dog on the hunt, a younger dog at that time. That was Hondo. And but I went to go with these guys, and they wanted me to go along. They'd known of me for a long time, so riding mules and stuff, and it was cool country. Kind of strange when you're hunting lions right through where lots of illegals were coming across the border, you know, and trails and them, and they kind of strange, and all the trash and everything. But anyway, I stopped, and they had one dog with them that wasn't a full hound. It was a part cur dog, part Catahoula, I believe, and that. And she wasn't really out hunting like the rest of the dogs and stuff like that. And so we were sitting there, and the dogs were trying to figure this trail out, and they were going that way. And I watched her, and she came back by me, and she looked up at me, this dog. And she went over by the water and started going that way. And she came back, and she looked at me like that. And this gentleman came back, his name was Donnie, and I says, "What's Goose doing here?" He says, "She knows the lion went the other way. She knows the dogs are wrong." He says, "I'll call him back." So we got him back. I said, "So did she catch lions by herself?" She says, "She catches almost every lion I catch ahead of the other dogs because she's that fast and she knows what she's doing." I said, "Where do you get a dog like that? How do you get a dog like that?" And he says, "You spend a lot of money." And he'd spent, I mean, we're talking 5 figures for this dog. Big dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, "Yeah, she's a secret weapon." But she could figure it out quicker. Some of the hounds were pretty, you know, really following their nose more, but she was kind of putting something to it. I've noticed a lot of really good dogs, really good bobcat dogs. Some of them become really, really sharp. They're really smart ones. Really make the bobcat. Bobcats are so hard to catch. Bobby don't like bobcats. She don't like them.
What's your favorite thing to hunt, Bobby?
Oh, probably deer. But I do like lions too. It's just such a different hunt. I mean, it's entirely different. But one time we were looking for this bobcat, and it was snow on the ground, and we were on the other side of the road there, and we had this bobcat dog. Anyway, that little bobcat went all around us, just.
He was playing tricks on us.
It was like, yeah, it was.
This
there's
dog was
tracks
a lion dog,
everywhere.
wasn't
I mean,
really
it was
a bobcat dog. And she
on
was
the
so
ground
slow
and
and
up
so
in the
open.
trees.
He was just playing all kinds of tricks, and we were walking in snow up to your knees with heavy wool on, and then the next thing you know, she'd be going this way, and here comes the bobcat track back by us, and I said, "It's going right back to the pickup."
Yeah, it was just going. It was just
It
messing with. Anyway, finally,
honestly, we didn't have
we
any
didn't
good
get
bobcat dogs.
anything,
A really good bobcat dog would have knocked the wind out of that thing and been
Yeah.
quiet. Semi-silent dogs are better on bobcats. But old Jessie, she was just.
I don't know how many miles we walked.
She says,
and by the
he
time
says,
I
if
got
you
to
see a
the truck,
bobcat track again, don't turn loose
I'm
on
like,
it.
do not turn out on that bobcat.
It was on the snow.
Huh?
It was on the snow.
It was on the snow.
It's interesting because sort of people often act like dry ground dogs in general are sort of the best hound dogs. But maybe they're just the best at what they do.
They're just the best at what they do.
Because if you take them and put them on a snow bobcat track, they don't catch it. But a mediocre snow bobcat dog might catch it. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Absolutely. It's just different strokes for different ones.
Yeah.
And I mean,
They're so specialized.
they're so specialized, and I mean, some of the best dry ground dogs I had, they didn't look very good on snow. I mean, they probably go along and catch and stuff like that. They have some of these guys who just blow their doors off with some of these hot rod dogs. They had snow dogs that just run with their head up and catch, and great. You know?
Do you guys think that a dog's scenting ability is determined by its nose primarily, or its personality and drive?
All of the above. Some dogs do have a superior nose, but I've seen even cur dogs or crossbreds like these out here exhibit great ability to pick up very, very old scent. They have the desire to do it. They've got to have the desire. Some dogs are naturally lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some dogs that, I've hunted with guys that had dogs that were just, I mean, had a lot of bloodhound in them, a lot of them. And they would strike tracks, and unbelievably old, maybe a 3-day-old dirt track. But they could detect, and they had enough trail in them that they would light up on that. And as soon as they lit up on it and took it a little bit, the other dogs could smell it just fine.
Mm-hmm.
They just had no interest in something that was that minute.
Do you think
But
it's
once old Dempsey started it, here they all come and, oh wait, we can smell it.
Do you think it's because those other dogs are not associating that really cold track with a good time?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you build up the desire?
Some you can. It develops over time. Real good cold trailing dogs usually don't happen. It takes a couple of years of some consistent catching. Some of them are naturally born at it, but generally it's a progressive thing, comes along. But they look to you to help them a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
You're a big part of the hunt when you're a dry ground hunter.
Mm-hmm.
You're really a big part of it. I mean, it's not just pull up in the snow and dump the tailgate and get your Garmin out and hear where the tree bark is and go to that. I mean, you're walking, you're riding, you're going right along with your dogs. If they make a loss, you try to help them through it.
Mm-hmm.
And before long, if they really like that and they like that teamwork and stuff, they really start working harder, bearing down more and more. And some of them do, and then some of them are like, this is not my bag.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hang around here and I'll kind of wait, and then when everybody lights up and the track really gets good, I'll run in there and make a glorious catch, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they do, but generally they don't make it.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is going to be just that good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some dogs that I would bet if they barked 3 times on the track, you were going to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way Benny was. That's the way Big John was. That's a caught lion. How do you know? Well, it may be 15 miles from here where we catch it, but he's caught because he's screwed into it now. He's screwed down.
Mm-hmm.